this Saturday rainy evening. Very rushed. We just came from the airport, literally. Ösel came from KL to spend his time with us tonight. Maybe let me give you a little brief introduction of Ösel. For those who don't know, Ösel is the reincarnation of Lama Yeshe, who is the founder of FPMT. And with our dearest Lama Zopa, both of them form FPMT. And Ösel was 2 years old when he was recognized by His Holiness. And then at 6 years old, he went to Sarah J, and that's where he had his formative education in Sarah J until when he reached 18. Then he decided to leave Sarah J to pursue more knowledge. And from the years that I've known Ösel, he's always have this insatiable appetite to learn. So after leaving Sarah, he's gone off to study and do documentaries. He learned filmmaking. He did some studies on Western humanities in Canada. He has studied in New Zealand, America, so all around, and always with the aim to learn more and to communicate in different ways, to reach out to people in different ways. So some of you might remember Ösel, who came here 11 years ago. Actually, yeah, some of you were very young 11 years ago. So after 11 years, finally he's back here, and with a new Gomba, which I've never seen. So we're very, very lucky to have him here tonight. Also, some of his projects, maybe if you would like to find out more about him and his projects, you can go to onebigLove.com. That's one-big-love.com. He has many, many projects that is close to his heart, one of which is the Global Tree Initiative, where you plant plants because the environment has been very, very close to his heart. And then he also does retreat with the habit alignment key, which is a retreat that makes you look into your perspective and getting awareness of how you see things and your perspective of things in relation to the environment, in relation to the world and the things around you. So that's why we thought tonight it would be very special for him to share some of his experiences that he had going around the world and traveling around the world, learning and non-stop learning. So we hope to have a very casual session tonight. Question answer, hopefully we have some time. So yeah, if you have anything that is related to what he is talking tonight, please come up and grab the mic and don't be shy and ask away, because yeah, we don't know when he will come, but don't wait another 11 years. Okay, so we with further ado, Ösel.
Hello. 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 Yeah, no, it's good. All right. I'll just start with the Sangichidam. The motivation. Sangye chedang soge chanam la changjo pardo dane gyapso che dage jinso gibe sonam gi dola penje sangye duba sho sangye chedang soge chanam la changjo pardo dane gyapso dage jinso gibe sonam gi dola penje sangye duba sho sangye chedang soge chanam 창조 바로 단에 겹서지 다기 진소 기베 소남기 돌아 편제 상계 두바라쇼 So hello everybody. Sorry we arrived a little bit late. Wanted to thank all of you for coming here. I'm really grateful to see all of you here, and I'm very happy to be back in ABC. It's been 11 years. I think I passed by before, but I think the last time I gave a talk was 11 years, correct? Yeah. So I'm super happy to be back again, and many familiar faces that I can remember from last time. And so we'll start. We get going because we don't have much time. So I wanted to start. The first thing I wanted to touch is because today I think social media and like all these different apps, you know, that are on the computer phone and screens, these things are actually affecting our life because we don't really have an education, you know, to understand the effects, short-term, long-term, especially in children as well. But I just want to touch base on that because if you think about it, really, everything, like for example, if we watch the news, if we look at social media, it's all about other human beings, right? Everything we're interested about, it's like, oh, even if it's, you know, anything, it's about other human beings. Most of the time, right? So for example, if you post something and then suddenly somebody likes it and you hear ding, right? The sound. And then it creates like a dopamine, you know, like a instant gratification. And really, we don't understand why or how it's so attractive. But actually, it's because in our genetics, it's already part of us, you know. We come from thousands of years of living in the tribe, right? So each of us had a unique responsibility within the tribe and a function, and then we were recognized and we were part of the group, and that has been like that for many, many, many generations. And now in the 21st century, suddenly we are a little bit like starting to get isolated between the 6 walls, right? So we have the 4 walls and then roof and floor, and the phone, right? The screen. So these are factors that are isolating us. But instinctively, we're actually searching for that human connection constantly. And also more so because we're actually getting a little bit disconnected from ourselves, right? Because we're searching outside all the time. And really, if you find yourself inside, you can find everything outside, right? But we're trying to find the inside, but looking outside all the time. So then we get further away. And I think it's important to touch lightly on that because it's an issue today. And I can see it quite clearly. And because sometimes we're not aware of these small details, you know. And actually what it is that we're looking for is human connection. And who's the human that's with us all the time? Who's our best friend? Us, right? Ourselves. So it's a little bit ironic, you know, that we're trying to find the human connection outside through a screen that is actually quite, superficial. It's really appearance, you know. In Spain, there's a joke that the Spanish, they have a very like funny humor. They say, so the neighbor, they were seeing the neighbor, they knew the neighbor like in real life, but then the Instagram account of the neighbor is like, because they know the neighbors, so same kind of similar life, but then when you find out the Instagram account, you're like, wow, yeah, what an amazing life, right? But it's your neighbor, you know, so you actually know him. It's like 2 different people. But that's what it is, you know, it's appearance, you know, and really appearance almost always are, what do you call it? Engañar, you know, they fool you. You know, it's really, what is really the most important aspect? You know, it's not so much maybe the reputation, because is your reputation under your control? No, right? Sometimes it's up, sometimes come down, you know, depending. But what is under your control? Your character, right? So really, if you want to focus on something, you focus on your character. That counts, because that's under your control, and that's really what you want to focus on. not so much your reputation. Your reputation doesn't really represent you, but your character does. So this, I think, is something very interesting to think about like that, and because many times we care so much about what other people will think, what they will say, that we don't live our life. We live other people's lives. And when it's too late, then we're like, oh, it looks so silly now, even though at that time it looks so important, what people think, what they say. So that's why focus on your character, and of course reputation is important in the workplace or in society in general, but don't go to the extreme, because extremes are not healthy. Like a glass of water can be fine, but if you go to the extremes, it becomes a tsunami, right? So, always try to find the balance. In the Lamrim, it states clearly, the middle path. And really I think the middle path is a key to finding a balanced life and harmony within. Because really, what are we looking for? We are looking for non-unhappiness. Because happiness is a bit too far. It's not a state of mind because it's temporary. So it's finished, like it comes, goes, just like suffering also, it's temporary, right? So what are we really looking for is to create the base of non-unhappiness, where that happiness can grow. But we're searching for the happiness, can't find. Get so attached to the idealization. The idealization is just a projection. It's not the reality. But we get so attached to that, and we set ourselves up for disappointment. And then when it doesn't happen like we expected, then we get angry, we get unhappy, we get depressed. But this is a mistake, Idealization can be dangerous. So you have to be realistic in that aspect, in that sense. And so anytime anybody has a question, a doubt, whatever, you just raise your hand, okay? And we can, this can be a discussion group as well. So you can interrupt me anytime you want, no problem. So going back, really what we're looking for is a human connection, to be recognized, to be accepted, right? To be part of something, to be functional within a group, because it's in our genes, it's in our genetics. So when you realize that, then maybe social media, the screen won't become so important, because we spend a lot of time. And also the position. We're starting to have neck problem here, a lot of people, because of the posture. Try to keep the neck, It can become a problem after years of like that. And also, for example, phone, if you put next to your ear, it has radiation. So normally like the speaker, things like that. I'm sure all of you know, but for me, I feel that I want to share that, because I would like people to tell me as well, things like that. We're all learning every day, and we all have phones. So for example, the phone, when you're going to sleep, just try to turn off the Wi-Fi, whatever, not too close to the pillow. When you're eating, don't leave it on the table, because the radiation can affect the food. When you wake up in the morning, first thing, don't pick up the phone. Probably most of us, we do something like that, right? I used to do that until I started to be aware, because the first thing you do in the morning, you're going to want to continue doing that the rest of the day. It generates certain dopamine and addiction, so then the rest of the day you're going to have that necessity or that need or that thought of picking it up anytime, like every 5 minutes, whatever. And not only that, also it creates not like concentration, it affects the concentration. So really, when you wake up in the morning, I feel the interesting aspect that you can meditate on or put to practice is gratitude. Gratitude is a base for all the good things that can come in life. So for example, we're talking about attachment, right? So what is attachment? Attachment is fear of losing something that's not even yours, right? When you buy a new car, I'm so happy, it's my car. Then in the morning you go, somebody stole your car. Where is my car, right? Somebody else is driving the car now. If it was yours, nobody can take. So if you start thinking like that, fear of losing slowly starts disappearing through gratitude. Why? Because when you think of gratitude, what happens? You have everything. You don't need anything. You're not thinking of what you had, what you would like, what you don't have. No, you're only focusing on what you have. And you're so grateful, you're happy to have that. So you're already creating this energy, this base of non-attachment. Does it make sense? Does this make sense? So this, if you start the morning with this meditation, even if it's 5 minutes, it's going to start to really transform your view of life. Because in Dharma, it states very clearly, it's very simple actually. It's all about perspective and attitude. If you want to change your life, change your perspective, change your attitude. Because even if something bad happened, if your perspective is different and your attitude is different, whatever bad thing happened is not going to have so much weight in your life. The positive things will prevail. It's your choice. What do you want to prevail in your life? The good things or the bad things? Whatever you give more attention, whatever you feed more, that's what's going to prevail. It'll be your life, right? So if you wake up in the morning, you're worried, you're unhappy, you're complaining, you're criticizing, you're frustrated, of course, we'll touch on that, how inner conflict starts. But if you have that, then you're creating the cause for the continuation of this attitude and perception. Because it's a choice, really. If life were the same reality for everybody, we would all see life the same way. But we all see it in a different way, right? Each of us have a different perspective based on our childhood, based on our culture, our language, all the circumstances. There's just so many conditionings to create what we are today. And of course, I think we'll all be trying to understand and discover ourselves all our life, right? We don't really know ourselves because most of the time we're observing outside. But if we want to understand outside, all you have to do is look inside. Because everything is here, right? And then outside is a reflection. Because what we see, the reality that we see is not really the reality. It's the interpretation of the interpretation, right? And of course, at first, the colors have to bounce, and then they come through the eye, and then the eye takes it to the brain interprets, and then the mind projects on that. And it projects through memory. If you don't have memory, you can't open a door. People with Alzheimer's, like heavy-duty Alzheimer's, they can't open the door. They just stand in front of a door like that. They don't know how to open it because they have no memory on how to open it. And this is a very important factor in our life. We are memory-based. So our habits come from the memory, right? So we create those habits. We create that memory. And to understand the reality, it's all based on the memory, what we learned before, what we understood. Because otherwise, it's difficult to really relate to the reality if it's not based from the memory, right? But the memory is the way we can create that. So I can have a positive memory or a negative memory, and then have that memory back again, and it can trigger something or not, right? So these are very subtle aspects of the mind that when you start to observe, slowly you can start seeing, And that's really what we're trying to do. We are trying to not be unhappy, have harmony inside, so we can also share that. Because really, true joy is when we are able to help others. But if we don't help ourselves first, we can't really be of much benefit. We can be thinking about all mother sentient beings every day, working very hard for everybody, but if we don't take care of ourselves, it's counterproductive. The result won't be really that powerful. Unless, of course, you're Buddha or enlightened being with realizations. It's a different story. Yeah, just remembered Lama Sabha. we are so lucky to have been able to, meet Lama Soba and spend time with him and learn with him under his guidance. It's still difficult to digest, right? When was the last time Lama Soba was here? When was the last time Rinpoche was here in ABC? Last year? Okay. Do you remember clearly? It must have been very special, right? So, anyways, but we are so lucky to have amazing examples that inspire us, because we can see, it's possible. It is possible. That's really the Guru is showing us where we can get, also the Buddhas, the Buddhas are the example of our potential. Right? It's the image of what we can become. And that's why when you see the Buddhas and you have the faith, also it's also a representation of who you can become, of your potential. That's so amazing. And that's why it's good to get those blessings, from the Gurus and the Buddhas. So, going back to gratitude. If we are grateful for what we have, we don't have fear of losing, we don't get attached to anything. I mean, of course, attachment is there's many things that we are programmed, so that sometimes it happens. But the important thing is to observe and recognize. As long as you can do that, then already 50% of the work is done. Right? If you can actually see how your mind plays tricks on you. The mind, and we believe the mind completely. We follow the mind. So, for example, the mind projects on the image that's been interpreted, and we believe it completely, even based on memory. And we are, what are we most attached to? Can you think? Do you know? Just let's see, somebody. What are we most attached to? Ourselves? What else? Sorry? Loved ones? Money? Good point. Yeah, there's different types of attachments. But I think, personally, what we are most attached to is our ideas. Our ideas. Because that is our personalities. Me. Who am I? The one who thinks like that. The one who sees the world like that. The one who knows or remembers, right? Our ideas were so attached. And so already, if you start checking, then the attachment starts, crumbling a little bit, because you understand your ideas. Maybe they're not 100% reality. Because there's so many different factors that get involved for you to come to that conclusion. And then next day, maybe you change opinion. Something happens, you read something, somebody tells you something, and you change your opinion, right? So really the mind, the thoughts are like the clouds, it looks solid. When you go to grab, there's nothing to grab, right? So the thoughts, they come and go. But people get so attached. And then how much do we suffer from our thoughts? Right? We just go on and on. Sometimes can't even sleep at night. So the thoughts is okay to relate to our reality, but not too much. That's why a good meditation at night before going to sleep is to turn off the mind. If you cannot think for 1 second, then you cannot think for 2 seconds. Then you can do it for 3, you can do it for 4, slowly, slowly, slowly. And maybe after 1 week, if you cannot think for 1 minute, wow, already you have a realization. Easy, no? Easier said than done. But it's true, it's if you go to the gym every day, then you will see a result. If you read every day, you'll get better memory. If you eat too much every day, you will have a certain result. If you don't eat enough, you have another result. That's how it works, cause and effect. So really, what you want to do is start to check your mind, and start to observe it and not be fooled so much and not be so attached, to start to recognize that maybe, equanimity can be helpful. That's really one of the teachings of Buddha Shakyamuni. He used to teach vipassana, right? Vipassana, so it's a meditation just where you put the mind to work. So the mind focuses, because there's many different types of meditation, but when the mind focuses, at least you maintain, put it to work. Because most of the times the mind is controlling, actually. The mind controls us. Goes here, goes there, and then we follow. But if you don't train the mind, if you don't practice a little bit, it becomes like having a wild animal in your sitting room. If you have a wild tiger that you don't train, what's going to happen? It's going to destroy your house from the inside. So your mind can destroy your life very easily. Easy. Especially if you have a big ego. Then it's a deadly combination. Because you always think you're right. And sometimes, it's good to be humble. It's good to forgive. Even if you're right, it's good to forgive because you give the opportunity for the other person to ask for forgiveness. And then you can have a two-way communication, Forgiving is beautiful. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling when you do it. For some people, it can be really hard because maybe they're not used to it. Or maybe the other person did something that they can't forgive. But then what are you doing? You're carrying the mistake of the other person. You're carrying their mistake. You are carrying it because you are not forgiving yourself or you're not forgiving them. So forgiving is amazing practice. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. Because we also can be very tough with ourselves. Like, oh, I didn't do this, or I should have done that. And then so forgive yourself. Like if you're not making mistakes, then it's a clear sign that you're not doing anything. Right? But if you're making mistakes and you're repeating the same mistakes again and again and again, also clear sign that there's something, you're doing something wrong. So, make mistakes, but learn from them and move on, right? Get over it. For me, Dharma is a little bit like that. If you asked Dharma in 3 words, it would be get over it. A little bit. Not exactly, but you understand, where a little bit, it's like just get over it, this whole thing, drama in our head, We really think we are the center of the universe, and we act like we're immortal, like we will never die. Every day. We actually believe it. We believe it. That's why also it's important to think about impermanence, because every day is a metaphor of our whole life. In the morning, we get up, we're fresh, we're eager, we're awake. And as the day passes by and night comes, we start to get more tired, more dull, more sleepy, and then finally we go to sleep. And this is happening every single day of our life. It's a training. It's a metaphor of our life. Being born and dying. And we literally die when we go to sleep. Boom. And then we wake up, maybe 6-7 hours passed, we don't really remember, just maybe a few dreams, if we're lucky. So, life is all the time showing us things, The ancients, our ancestors used to always observe nature, observe the animals, and learn from them, We've lost a lot of these aspects. We are losing touch with nature. We're losing touch with our origin. We're losing touch with many things. How many people walk barefoot these days? Not many, huh? Most of us always have something between the ground and our feet. The earth also has a magnetic kind of, what do you call it? Magnetic energy or something. And it's very healthy sometimes to walk barefoot. So there's many cultures that you walk barefoot, and it's really good, And to be isolated from the ground, sometimes it disconnects us. So touch earth, touch earth, ground yourself, And we're all sharing the same ground. We're all sharing the same space. We're all sharing the same air. We're sharing so many things. all the time. And we are so interdependent. right? And then we think like it's just me, separate. But actually your energy, your feeling, your thoughts, your emotions affect other people, and it can affect many different aspects. There's many things that we're not aware of, you know? So it's good, you know, to sometimes guard your thoughts, sometimes to train your mind a little bit. So when you go to sleep, turn off your mind, even if it's 1 minute, right? And then you fall asleep even better. Because if you're thinking, you're tossing, turning, thinking, then time, more frustrated, you can't fall asleep. Because maybe the mind is too active. Maybe you work a lot, and then you have to go to sleep fast. Or maybe before sleep you're watching screen or computer or phone, and then it's very active, the brain. And then when you go to sleep, and then you're thinking, boom, 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 boom. Then the mind is bringing all these problems. What happened yesterday? What's going to happen tomorrow? What he said, what I said, you know. This is the mind. The more we give it food, the more it's going to go wild. And it can really destroy your life, you know. So learn from the mistakes and start making different mistakes. You know, because that's life. Life is about learning. And even the day of our death, when we are dying, we're learning the process of death. So every single day we're learning. And if we don't learn, we can't really interact with reality, right? Because even though maybe this room, we are familiar with the room, every time we come in, it's kind of new, you know. We have to, maybe if we have to close our eyes, we walk, maybe we crash into the TV, or we crash into the pillar, right? Even we've seen the room many times, sometimes there's many things that we're not completely aware. So every time we have to look again. So we are relearning, we are learning every day. So to think that, oh, I know, I'm wise, you know, it's not really realistic. Because being wise means understanding and recognizing that we are learning all the time. And that's why it's a very famous saying, right? I know that I don't know anything, right? The famous philosopher Plato, he said that. He said, I know I don't know anything. And then there's a joke. Somebody asked him, and who told you that? And he said, oh, my wife told me. Just joking. So, yeah, but so it's really important to be aware, you know, the knowledge, the understanding, you know, the wisdom is different from every person. Can't really compare, you know, each person knows different because we all come from different perspectives. We see the world and the reality from our own eyes. You know, so it's very difficult to really to say, to compare, you know, this person knows more, this person knows less. If you want to compare, if you want to judge yourself from yesterday. If you want to compete with yourself from yesterday. Try to be better than who you were yesterday. But with no regrets, you know, because you don't really want to bash yourself, you know. You don't want to force yourself. If you have to force yourself to meditate, or if you have to force yourself to do something, then you're not enjoying, it's not flowing, then it's not so healthy, you know, sometimes. Unless, of course, it's necessary and we're lazy. That's a different story. You know, so don't mix procrastination with But, yeah. Okay, do we have questions?
You're talking about being aware and meditating, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing of being aware when we're meditating, but when we're not meditating and we're actually in real life, then it's harder to be aware. So do you have any advice on how we can be more aware?
Well, I mean, there's many different types of meditation, right? So, for example, if you're walking, just being, just being aware of how you're walking, observing the mind, what thoughts are coming, what thoughts are going, where are they coming from, why are they coming? That already is a meditation. It's analytical meditation, right? You have the practical meditation, you have the analytical meditation. You know, there's a lot of meditation where you investigate, you observe. It's like you rationalize. And then there's a lot of meditation which is a practical one, you know? So they both complement each other. But you can meditate at any time of the day. And a great secret, well, it's not a secret, but a great method, I think, is to enjoy work. That's why changing your attitude and changing your perspective is key. Because if you can do that, then wow, right? If you enjoy work, it's going to change your life, right? I think most of us, we don't really enjoy work, you know. But also because we don't choose something that's based on what we're passionate about. We choose something based on pressure, social pressure, pressure from expectations. Maybe, so we idealize, we think, oh, this work, even though maybe I don't enjoy it, it's going to bring me enough finance to make me happy, right? But really, what are the true values in life? It's the inner values inside. The gold, there's two types of gold, right? There's the outer gold and the inner gold. The outer gold, when you have the gold, you want more. It's not enough. And when you have more, you're scared somebody will steal it. And then you have to keep getting more and more and more because you have to maintain, right? And then you have worry, oh, when I die, I can't take it with me. Right? But the inner gold, when you share, multiplies. When you die, you take it with you. And nobody can steal it from you. It's yours forever. And you take it with you to the next life. Those are the inner values. This is a real gold. Those are the things that really count in life, that have true value. The most important things in life, you cannot see, you cannot touch, you cannot buy. Right? Like the love of a mother, or a friendship, or things that, if you think about it, the more you think about it, the more you realize that the most important and valuable things in life, you cannot see, you cannot touch, you cannot buy or sell. You can create the cause for it. So, healthy mind, healthy body, vice versa. Mind and body is very connected. So, healthy body will help to have a healthy mind. A healthy mind will help to have a healthy body. And if you work on both of them, that's even better. Right? So your diet, your thoughts. Thoughts can be really toxic. The thoughts can really affect your body. You know, so really you have to start to understand that this has huge effect. If you look, the skyscrapers, all of them, they started with a thought. You know, somebody had to think about it, project the idea, and put it into practice, into action. You know, and like how many things have been manipulated by the human from nature to adapt to us. And even then we're not happy yet. You know, we have a hard time adapting to nature. Very hard time, right? If it was easy for us to adapt to nature, we wouldn't need all these things. And every time more. And never enough. And in the process, we're destroying the planet. Destroying ourselves too. Destroying our health, destroying many things, you know. And we just continue doing it because it's almost like an addiction, you know. It's like a program that we don't know how to stop because all society is just moving in that direction. And if you move away, then you're crazy, you're weird, you're strange, you're not, you know? So one thing I really want to tell you is never sell your authenticity in order to be accepted. Right? Because everybody wants, what people is looking for is authenticity. That's what they're looking for. So just be authentic and people will accept you. People will want a piece of that. You know? But many of us, we do that. We sell this authenticity because we are scared that people won't accept us. Oh, maybe I'll be weird, maybe they'll think this, they'll think that. And then we repress. And then slowly there'll be a conflict and we don't know where it came from. Right? There's many things like that in life. Just have to start to observe, slowly, step by step. Can't expect one day to another to have big muscles suddenly. Right? I go to the gym one day, and then tomorrow I look, why is no big muscle? Why? It's ridiculous, right, to think like that. So really, the mind is like that. You really have to go slowly, step by step, without forcing it. Don't get frustrated, because then it's counterproductive. You have to enjoy it. You have to give yourself space, you know? And of course, how can you love others if you don't love yourself? So which is the first step of loving yourself? Taking care of your mind, taking care of your body, your diet, your exercise, all these aspects, you know. And then once you are not unhappy and you have a certain state of mind of harmony, then you can start really sharing that and helping others by the example, first of all, right? Why is everybody so serious? So, any more questions? Something else before we change? Mm-hmm.
Do you have any experience in POA practice? And
POA.
like, yeah.
Ooh la la. I think Lama Yeshe used to
No,
do.
just for the sake of the audience, do you have any experience or any comments
Me,
on
no.
POA practice and clear
No,
light?
Not yet. But but Lama Yeshe, there's a very beautiful recording of Lama Yeshe singing Poa. No, not Poa. I think it was Che. It's different. I'm confused now. So what is your understanding of Poa? What is your understanding?
I read certain Rinpoche who share about POA, and basically it's a practice, a kind of meditation, whereby
Calm abiding.
it's a kind of meditation
Uh-huh.
whereby you practice in such a way that you observe certain energies going to from your chakra to your
Wow.
to the top of your head, and then project it in such a way that when you pass away, you can go to a higher
Wow.
rhyme or something. It's one kind of practice,
Very
which is related to clear light meditation, and which all the high lamas
Yeah, but
practice.
it's quite deep and advanced. For me, I think maybe in 10 years.
Because our life always teaches us to live, to go and earn a living, support your family, education, material things.
Yeah.
But only certain, Buddhism talk about preparation for death, right? And every time they say death can come anytime, just in case you don't know when you die.
Well, every
But,
second
yeah.
is a certain death because
Yes.
we're changing everything.
Yes, and I've seen many people, young, 40 plus, 50 plus, go and do jogging, never come back. So I'm just thinking that our education, our whole life is always talking about living, but not preparing us for death. I don't mean it in a very negative way.
But we have
Yeah.
to start baby steps.
Yes.
Otherwise, if you start building the roof when you have no foundation, then after we get frustrated. We don't understand why there's no result.
So what is your advice for that baby step? Can you share with us?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So in our life, 1/3 of our life we're working. 1/3 of our life we're sleeping. And then we have 1/3 left, right? And we have to eat. So we have to go to do shopping, we have to cook, then eat. So already a lot of time is gone. And then the time we are on the computer, on watching movie, and maybe showering or buying clothes, buying stuff, like in the end there's very little time really that we dedicate to ourselves, to our self-growth, self-improvement. And that's why I think even if it's just minimum, if just in the morning you do 5-minute gratitude meditation. Thank you. You start with everything you have. Thank you, heart, for starting to pump blood since I was a 2-week fetus. Right? The heart start. Never stop. Thank you, all the cells that are inside. Thank you, the lungs. Thank you, the oxygen. Thank you, the roof that's protecting me from. Thank you, the company, the people, or the health, or the time, or the opportunities. And the more you think about it, the more things you'll find to be grateful for. And it's really how you program your mind. It's super that's what Dharma is really saying. It's talking about. That's really the key, right? The key, change your attitude, change your perception. And of course, there's many beautiful ways of expressing it and techniques and all that. But right now, for me, it's important to focus on the practical aspect, how to apply it in everyday life, the Dharma. You know? So otherwise, sometimes, you know, not everybody is, you know, so advanced in that sense, you know, like, for me, for example, I'm baby steps still, you know, slowly, slowly. For me, I have to find and understand a practical way in order to get to that point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to work on my chakras now. But Lama Yeshe, he used to talk about visualization. You visualize the chakras, and you visualize like a river between the chakras, and then there's maybe many leaves that get stuck, you know, and so the water is not flowing. So you visualize, you clean the leaves, and then suddenly the water is flowing from each chakra, going down, coming back up again. That's a good meditation, if you want. But yeah, we don't have much time because we are very distracted. And that really is one of the issues, you know, distraction. Back in the days, what would people do? Maybe they would make a fire, sit around the fire and tell stories or talk. Nowadays, we barely ever do that. Maybe even when we're eating, it's like the social moment. So eating and we're on the phone. Right? So, really, in that sense, if you think about it, like for example, just in the cities, maybe there's an apartment and there's two neighbors sharing the same wall for 20 years, but they don't know each other's name. And if you go to a village, to the villages way out in the countryside, maybe one village to the other village 3 kilometers distance, but they know each other, the name, everything. Why is it? It's so much further away, but they're more connected. Why is it that in the cities people are more disconnected? Why is that? Right? Does it make sense? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? People should be more connected, you know, because they're closer together. But that's also because we're disconnected inside. So the moment you connect with yourself out inside, then you can connect with everybody. You're much open, you know. The fear is a key factor for really subduing this aspect of productivity and improvement, even health. Fear is an instinctive aspect of our survival, to fight or to flee, right? But these days, we don't need it so much. It's not that necessary. We don't have to fight to survive. We don't have to run away from wild animals who are chasing us. We don't need to. But we still have that instinct of fear, you know? And fear is also a huge method of manipulation. So we also have to be aware, you know, that sometimes fear is a little bit overdone. You know, I mean, you can have a little bit of fear, like for example, oh, maybe I'm wasting a little bit of my time, and then later on, you know, I won't have the same opportunities because maybe I'll be a little bit older, my health won't be the same, my mind won't be so sharp, you know, so maybe I should take advantage of the opportunities I have now. There is an opportunity, it's like an arrow. Once you shoot it, it will never come back. It's like a word that you say without thinking, fa. You can never take it back, right? So the opportunities, it doesn't mean like, oh, now we have to be obsessed. Oh, can't miss any opportunity. I'm not talking about that. It's that you create the opportunity, right? You create the circumstances. It's so easy to blame others. Why? Because when you blame others, when you blame the circumstances, you don't have to focus on yourself. You don't have to challenge yourself. You don't have to confront yourself. I think that's one of the greatest fears we have, the fear of our potential. That's why it's so good to, you know, to look at the Buddhas and be like, wow, you know, it's possible. It's possible. It's more realistic to become a Buddha than to become a millionaire. But we're all chasing the unrealistic aspect, you know. And then when you're a millionaire, what do you want? To become a billionaire. When you have one car, you want 2 cars. When you have 2 cars, you want a boat. When you have a boat, you want a jet. You want and there's so much carbon footprint, you don't care. The consideration starts disappearing because it's only me, 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 me. And then when you have big me, what happened? Big suffering also. Small me, small suffering. So it's ironic, you know, life is ironic. Something?
I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all these concepts and all these things that we learn, I think the challenge is to put it in everyday life. In your everyday life practice, that's the main challenge, right? Earlier you spoke about authenticity. Do you think authenticity, I mean, when can we be really 100% authentic? Maybe to our loved ones at home, our spouse, our family, our
Very
loved
good
one.
question.
But for example, at work, do we really need to be authentic at work? Because when you are your real self, the office politics comes in, people eat you up and they chew you up and they spit you out. Yeah, so do we really want to be authentic at work?
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying and specifying. Okay, so I'll get back there, but first I want to touch base on relationships. So in order to feel like fall in love, okay, everybody's idolizing, oh, love, falling in love, the perfect relationship, whatever, right? So what is the number one base for that to happen? You have to vulnerabilize, how do you say? Be vulnerable, right? If you're not vulnerable, you can't fall in love. It's impossible. And the other person also can't fall in love with you. You know, because what's the thing about falling in love? It's about seeing the person and loving them for who they are. Yeah, not wanting to change them or condition them, all that, right? So really being vulnerable is the key, you know, to understand love and to feel love. Obviously, that vulnerability has to be done in a very protected area with people that you really trust, you know? So in that situation, right, I think being authentic works, right? But obviously in a workplace, not very recommendable. Because in the workplace there's a lot of competition, a lot of jealousy also. If you're successful, if you're doing good work, if the boss likes you, then everybody hates you. But this is also part of the education, you know? Because the education system teaches us how to work. But we have to learn how to live. Nobody really is going to teach us. Our parents try, but sometimes also our parents don't really know, because nobody taught them. We're all kind of struggling to learn how to live. You know, so it is true, you know, you have to apply things according to the circumstances and the situation. And you have to also have the gut feeling, right? You have to also be clever enough to know when is the moment to be authentic and when it's not. You know, if it's beneficial or not, if it has a good result. Also, the intention behind is very important. The intention behind is the key factor for karma, how it gets molded. But it is very challenging, actually. You know, it is very challenging because obviously we can think in a way, but not everybody's going to think that way. You know. So don't give up, right? And this is a very beautiful story I like a lot. I like to work with examples. So this is a great example for this. So there's a forest, right? And there's a snake on a tree, and then there was a fire underneath the tree. So the snake accidentally fell in the fire. And exactly at that time, there was a man walking past. So his instinct immediately was to save the snake. So he put his hand in the fire to get the snake out. And what did the snake do? Bites him. You know the story? He bites him. And then the guy, he lets go of the snake, instinctively, of course. And then somebody was from far away saw the situation. And then the first person, he takes his stick and saves the snake again. Second time, save it. And then the snake runs away, right? Snake goes. And the second person who saw the whole thing from far comes close and he's like, why did you save the snake a second time? You tried to save him and he bit you. Let it burn, right? You try to save it bites you, and then on top of that you come to save it, don't save it. Let him burn, right? And you know what the first guy said?
He said the instinct of the snake is to bite, and my instinct is to save it. And I'm not going to let the instinct of the snake change my instinct. Does that make sense? So even if there's many bad people or people with bad intentions, because in the end, really, being bad is an option, you know. So it's not that we are bad people. It's the circumstances that are created that make people become like that, and then they don't know how to channel, transform, or filter. What's the difference between the villain and the hero? I mean, both of them have had very traumatic childhoods, that's for sure. Right? So in that way, they're very similar. But what makes a difference between the hero and the villain? The way they worked on that trauma, how they their approach to that trauma. So the villain never was able to recover or like really transform the trauma. So it's repeating the cycle. So they have so much pain, so much anger, frustration, and then so they throw that away to other people, and they want to see other people suffer in order to ease this pain a little bit. So they haven't worked on the trauma at all. That's the villain. And the hero has the same trauma, but has worked on the trauma, has challenged themselves, and the approach is completely different. And that's why they're the hero, But yeah, in India, all the Bollywood movies, hero, Dragu boss, and hero, yeah. Almost every single one has to have hero, have to have the villain. But it's a metaphor of life. So just because in life there's many villains doesn't mean that, oh, now me too, I'm going to be a bad person. Don't change your instinct because of somebody else's behavior. Does that make sense? The story is a beautiful story, right? So in the situation of the workplace, I think, we should think like that, We try to, do our best in our sense, transform our perspective, our attitude, so that we actually enjoy it. Be kind to people, but don't allow other people to influence us to such a point where we change our attitude, where we suffer, because many times we take things that are not ours, that don't correspond to us. We take it personally. For example, there's this thing I like to call the energetic snowball. And you know a snowball, right? In Singapore, not much snow, but the concept, yeah, we know, right? So you take a snowball, you throw it down a hill, it keeps becoming bigger, 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 and then eventually it will destroy a house. It becomes so big, it can destroy a whole building. But it started off just a small thing like that, right? So the energetic snowball is a little bit like that, like maybe two people in the workplace are really frustrated, unhappy for whatever circumstances. So one person says very harsh words and aggressive to the other person. So for example, if I'm the person who's being attacked, let's say, right? So somebody's shouting at me or is very angry, and me, I have an ego, I'm thinking me, and I don't have much consideration for the other person. I'm not really aware of the other person. Then what's going to happen? I'm going to take it personally, right? Oh, me, he's saying to me, whoa, big me. And then I'm going to react. So I'm going to create that conditioning of reacting. And that's a memory base also, the habit pattern. So that's, the more we do it, the easier it is to keep repeating. So we react. And then the way we react is we shout back. Maybe they shout 20%, we shout back 30%, and then they shout back 40%, and then it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then maybe more people join, and people take sides, and then it becomes a whole, complete chaos. So what is the problem there? The problem is, for example, if the person attacked me or said something, if I change my attitude, my perspective, what is it that I'm going to see? I'm going to see that person is suffering so much. I'm not going to be like me, oh, he said to me. It just doesn't matter at all, because you're seeing the other person. You see them. You're like, wow, they must be suffering so much in order to channel this kind of energy through their body. That must be so destructive for them, so unhealthy for them, right? So you start to create this compassion feeling for them. You start to have the consideration, you see them. And then what happens? When they say these harsh words, it doesn't affect you at all. At all. It will not affect you at all. You know, Buddha Shakyamuni, there's a very nice story where somebody came and was shouting at Gautama Buddha, you know, like in front of everybody, shouting, insulting, and he didn't really get affected at all. So in the end, the guy, he gives up. And he asks, why? How come? What's your secret? How come like everybody gets affected by what I say? How come you didn't get affected? And then Buddha, you know, he had the tendency to many times answer a question by asking a question. So he asked a question. He said, if somebody gives you a present and you don't accept it, who keeps the present? Right? So if somebody sends you this dark black energy ball and you don't accept it, who keeps it? The present keeps it. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to, you don't have to take it. So in that sense, it's a nice example. So you transform that energetic snowball by answering with kind words, with answering more, you know, calm, you know, and even the other person can continue shouting, rah, 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 but it's not going to affect you. You're not going to take it inside. You're not going to absorb it. You're not going to go to sleep that night and think about it. You're not going to go to see your friends and talk about it. Oh, you know, blah, 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 blah. And you're just making it bigger, 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 bigger. In the end, what's going to prevail? That shit that person gave you. Well, that you took, actually. It's a choice. And that's why it's so easy not to take responsibility. It's so easy to blame others. Oh, it's that person, this person, that. Because then you don't have to look inside. And most of us, we're doing that, you know, all the time. A big percentage. And it's very easy to fool ourselves, to lie to ourselves. Because it's the easiest path. But trust me, one day you're going to have to challenge yourself. One day you will have to confront yourself in this lifetime, eventually, at some point. The earlier you start, the easier it will be when the time comes. Did that answer your question a little bit in the workplace? Yeah, so I mean, we do have to be careful, but also we have to learn how to observe with kindness, with compassion, with empathy, because that is going to avoid us a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, you know, and a lot of problems, a lot of waste of time too, you know. Worrying, it's a little bit of waste of time, you know, sometimes. So focus on what you want. What do you want? Positivity, right? So overvalue positivity, not so much the negativity. Simple. Okay, please.
The question is about films, music, things that we see in social media.
What? The music? What was before? What did you
The
say?
question is about general entertainment you see on social
Okay.
media, like films, music, and things that people do on social media.
Uh-huh.
The question is, how can we better protect ourselves so that when we are friends, right, we're not totally ignorant,
Okay.
but
Very
yet
easy.
we don't have to indulge in those
Yeah.
unhealthy stuff.
Very easy. I have a son, right? I have a 6-year-old son. So when he was a baby, I started to I investigate, I learn a lot about, you know, children and all that. So it's very interesting. Children, when they're at a young age, they can't really see very clearly. You know, they can't see very much, but they can see colors and movement and lights. You know, and so that you put something like that, and the baby, like that. So almost we are still in that state. You know, because in the end, if you look social media, you don't really remember what you're looking, and it's all just changing colors, you know, moving, whatever, lights. And we just, you know, it's like the snake charmer with a flute, right? The snake can't really hear it. We think, oh, it's a flute, the music. No, the snake is seeing the movement, is trying to bite the flute. So the flute is moving, the snake is moving with the flute, but the snake cannot really hear, you know? So it's a little bit like that, you know? We just have to understand that, wow, because what we're really looking for is to disconnect. To disconnect. That's what we're looking for. So it's so much easier to disconnect. Just look and then, you know, you don't have to think, you know, just get fed. But most of the time it's just rubbish. And our mind absorbs things so much. And it does affect you, the memory, it all stays there, you know. So we have to be aware of the imprint that we're creating in our mind. You know, why, like for example, when we have an action, when we do something, what is karma? Karma is the imprint that we create in our own mind. And that's the imprint that we carry to the next life, right? The conditioning, the shankara, they say in Sanskrit. So what is the medicine for that is the equanimity. You know, to be, of course, it's very difficult for us to be equanimous, right? we need to have a high realization to really be equanimous. But we can start, you know, but by not grasping, not rejecting, or not being indifferent. You know, if it's none of those three, then it's equanimous. And that's really one of the aspects that Buddha was teaching in when he did the vipassanas. It's very interesting, you know, because equanimity means you don't react. And if you don't react, then you're not conditioning the situation. You're just observing it, you know, and letting it pass without grasping or rejecting. And I think that's important when we start to like see something, we get like attraction, or you know, that's, oh, you observe the mind. Why am I attracted to this? Why am I grasping this? What's behind it? Maybe there's something connected to our childhood. You know, sometimes psychologists say cigarette smoking can be related to a lack of like breastfeeding, or having the, what do you call it? Chupete. Is it called pacifier? Okay, in Spanish it's chupete.
Me too.
What?
Pacifier.
Pacifier, a strange name. I never heard that name before. But where my son was born, for example, in Brazil, because we looked for, he was born in Brazil, we looked for a natural, the name in Brazil was, I forget the name now, but it was a natural place, you know, like birth, because in Brazil most of the births are all cesarean, you know, because it's much easier for the doctors, you know, they just have the time, okay, at this time, boom, cesarean, ciao, boom, you know. If a woman, has to give birth and maybe it's complicated, maybe it takes a room for maybe many hours and then they don't know. So in Brazil, it's much easier like that. So they actually force people, convince people that cesarean is the best, you know, just to boom, boom, boom. So the humanizado, yeah, hospital humanizado was made. Humanized hospital was called. There's very few in Brazil. So we found one, and I did the course, like some training, 15 days, so that I could do it myself, bring him to the world, right? And in that hospital, because I took him out, cut the umbilical cord, you know, like, actually it was a bit scary for me, you know, because I thought that he was going to slip. So I was like, no, I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't slip. But the interesting part that I want to talk about of that hospital is that pacifiers were illegal. It was contraband. So if they saw any parent with it, they would confiscate. Yeah. Why? Because it creates this trauma in the future. It's this need, this addiction, this, you know. But it's just an example. It's just one example. Many, 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 many. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the case for everybody. For some people, yes. Maybe for some people, no. Right? Many kids who didn't really were not able to breastfeed a lot, and they had to pacifier a lot. Then after, you know, it creates. I don't know. I mean, each person is different, right? But this is just an example. You cannot generalize. This is to apply and understand a little bit. You know, like oh, I can understand the connection. Maybe you know, to start to investigate a little bit to try to find different ways of understanding, to understand our mind, to understand. It's good to go back into the past, because the past exists in the present somehow, right? And the future exists in the present, right? So if you want to understand the past, you look at the present. If you want to see the future, you look at the present, right? Kind of. This is what Nostradamus used to do. I'm joking. So, yeah, and then what was the question? So the social media. So that's why, you know, I think many times we're addicted, you know, to this concept of entertainment, because we want to avoid to be with ourselves. In the end of the day, it's basically something like that. So meditation, why is it so important? Because it forces us, it challenges us to start to observe ourselves. And then why this meditation at night of shutting down the mind, stopping to think? Because when you stop thinking, that's when the inner voice starts to become, you start to hear the inner voice. And that is so beautiful, really. That is very beautiful. Because as long as we have noise here, we can't really hear the inner voice. And if you think about it, which is the number one brain? We have 3 brains, right? Everybody's like looking like, huh? Here, this is the first brain, here. The gut feeling, the instinct. Here's where we have to make all the decisions should be made, here. And then the connection, the heart, the feeling, right? And then the logical understanding that relates to reality in order for us to interact through memory is this one. But what do we do most of the time? This one completely disconnected, only we use this. And then we don't understand why we are depressed or we have conflict or something. It's because we're disconnected. You know? That's why meditation, breathing, like you were saying, the chakra, visualizing the energy flowing through the chakras is so important. Yeah. Not very technical question, huh? Please.
Tenzin, Ösel. My question is in relationship to your mentioning of the brain in your gut feel and your heart.
In the what?
You just now you mentioned 3 brains, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's metaphorically.
Metaphorically,
I mean, it's not brain, obviously.
So can you share with us here your how do you activate and practice this second and third brain, the gut feel and the heart, in relationship to your daily life? And that's the first question. And second question, do you practice meditation?
Do I practice meditation?
Yes.
Well, not very much.
It's okay.
Sleep,
you're very authentic. I love it. You're very authentic. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So just share us your gut feel and your heart. I mean, just authentically, just some examples of your daily life.
I'm a great meditator. I'm so good at sleeping. I love to meditate.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So many times we lose the gut feeling because we don't trust our instinct. We believe more the intellect than the instinct. But also that's because we're disconnected, we're a little bit disconnected. Also we have to try sometimes. You know me, I've thought maybe it's my instinct and I follow it, and then sometimes maybe it's not. You know, so it's, nobody can really show you the path. You know, I can't be like...
My wife is very good at that gut feel.
Really? Wow.
So I
So
depend
you
on
ask
her.
her the
I
questions.
depend, yes. If I meet somebody and I say, you know, how is this person? And
so
she gave me a very good...
What is her gut feeling about you?
Well, she chose me as a husband, so maybe, you know, I'm a good man. I don't say I'm a good man. It's very egoistic. I mean, at least I try to be a good man. But the point I'm trying to say is...
You try. You're not.
Wow. So basically, I did try to use gut feel sometimes. So sometimes I always pray to the bodhisattvas to say, if I meet somebody, because I try to show kindness and compassion to a person, and at times it backfires, because when you're kind, you're compassionate, people think it is a weakness and says, well, this is a very simple man. I just don't have to put too much effort to manage him, you know, and that's it. So I always pray to the bodhisattvas to say, you know, whatever people I encounter, I make sure that I'm not taken advantage of, and that I'm able to have this gut feel. Yeah.
The world moves by interests.
By what?
Interests.
Interest?
Everybody has an interest. Everybody. The world moves based on interests. So taking advantage is a very normal thing. Everybody is taking advantage of each other, in a way, because that's how capitalism works. Consumerism. It's the system. It's the way we're wired. The way we're educated. You know, it's competition. You know, we compete. So, but anyways, yeah, I'm diverting from the subject.
Yeah.
The gut feeling. It's a slowly. So, for example, what I wanted to tell you. Yeah. So, I can't come to you and be like, "Hey, I found the truth." Wow. take it, here, take it. Why does that not make sense? Right? Why doesn't it make sense? Because this can be my truth. This is the way I see the world. This is how I experience or learn or understand or apply. But this is for me, right? Each person has to find that. You know, each person has to walk the path. Of course, the guru, the ancient knowledge, you know, of our ancestors, the panditas, of the Buddhas, it's all available to us. But it's not the path, right? I like to use examples, so this is a great example. You can put the mic down now. I'm joking. I'm just teasing you. The example, I really like the example because, for example, many times, so there's a lot of attachment, right? Wait, I'm going to write because after I forget. We get very attached. And so many times, for example, in order to avoid looking in ourselves, challenging ourselves, we do what is a thing that I like to call bypass. We bypass, we do a special jump. So for example, instead of having to do the hard work of being a good person, we're like, oh, I'm Buddhist, so I'm a good person. I'm Buddhist, I'm a good person. That's not enough. Just because you go to initiations or teachings, or you read books, or you do prostrations, or water bowls, or mantras, or a little bit of meditation doesn't mean you're a good person, right? It's the attitude and the way you relate to yourself and the way you relate to others. That's really the key. You know, so it's very easy. We get attached to this idea, oh, I'm Buddhist, so I'm a good person, and that's it. And then we just, you know, close the door and it becomes all dusty. We then open this door for such a long time. And then after 20 years, we haven't done not much advanced. We don't have any realization. We get frustrated. Oh, it doesn't work. You know, maybe I'll try something else. I'll try something else, try something else. But what happens? The bypass. So for example, bypass is like taking refuge. Does it make sense? Some people take refuge in idealizing the perfect marriage, or the perfect job, or the perfect car, right? How much do you have to pay here in Singapore to have a car? Is it really worth it? I don't know. Each person is their own opinion, their own perspective. But, yeah. So much suffering, huh? So much suffering to achieve this acceptance. But then once you get there, then there's another whole different level where you need to be accepted. Yeah, always striving, you know. But yeah, so we take refuge, even some people take refuge in alcohol. So they use alcohol to bypass the fact, to confront themselves, to really do the work, the inner work. It's much easier to drink, get drunk, go to sleep, fall asleep, next day same, right? We all have different kinds of things like that. You know, computer games. It can be relaxing for a short time, right? But then afterwards it becomes heavy, you know, because then we feel this, you know, you know what I mean, right? I know what I mean. I used to like to play a lot of computer games before. It helped me to relax my mind and not have to assimilate so much, you know? So for me, it was a way of like, you know, releasing my stress. But then in the end, I realized it's counterproductive because I'm not really doing anything. I'm just bypassing. I'm taking refuge in something in order to avoid looking at something. And this happens with the guru as well. For example, Lama Soba Rinpoche, he was working tirelessly for more than 40 years. For all sentient beings, he wouldn't even lie down to sleep. I think maybe in 40 years, he lied down 3 times, only for a short time. He would never lie down, always sitting, you know. So even when Rinpoche, suddenly he passes away, people are so attached to the concept, because it's not attached really to Lama Soba. They're attached to the concept in their mind. Because when the Guru is there, they don't have to really challenge or, because the Guru is going to save them. The Guru is, the Guru is, while the Guru is there, I'm safe, I'm good, everything is okay, But then, of course, you put so much pressure, so much expectation, so much idealization, so much attachment on the Guru, that when the Guru shows the emanation of impermanence, immediately, not even 2 days pass, the reincarnation, we want, please come back, reincarnation, please come back, right? But what does that imply? It implies of finding a baby, separating him from the family, and giving him a responsibility of a great yogi to a baby, for us to be happy, for me to be happy, for me to be relaxed. Don't you think that's a little bit selfish? It's not very compassionate. So where's the bodhicitta there? So that, I think, was a great example. When I was in Kopan, not even 2 days passed by, everybody was, the reincarnation. I'm like, I don't think this is very healthy, So I just wanted to touch on that. And the example that for me, I think, of the Guru, it's a little bit like a lighthouse, right? What is the lighthouse's job? The lighthouse job is, it's a light, and it's saying, there are many rocks here. Don't come close, you have to go this way or that way, but if you come here, you're going to crash. So the lighthouse is guiding us towards our destination. But what is a mistake? All the boats going to the lighthouse. Right? It's not like that. Imagine if if all the boats treated the lighthouse like they treat the Guru, the lighthouse would be surrounded by crashed boats. Right? And then on top of that, what? The Guru becomes almost, he can't move, can't breathe, he's so, everybody wants a piece of him. And even one day he looks at you, smiled, and you're happy. The next day, he doesn't look at me, why, what did I do? Why, maybe is he angry? What's happening? Me, so much paranoia, so much everything, projection. I was like, we really have to calm down a little bit. We really have to relax a little bit. Of course, we can take refuge. It's good, it's important. But always with the middle way. Always with some equanimity. Rinpoche, for 40 years teaching Dharma, the moment he's not there, we don't care about those 40 years. We just care about me, now, tomorrow. Come back, right? And Rinpoche, of course, he will come back in his own time, right? It's not up to us. It is up to us, according to the merits that we create. But thinking like that, definitely we're not creating the right merits. I don't think so. So it has to be a pure way of seeing, pure vision, pure. So really, the intention, may the Guru come back again in order to, really be able to benefit sentient beings. Not me, I'm suffering, What is this? 40 years of teaching, we didn't learn anything. It's impermanence, right? Everything's changing. And we're changing with that too. If the river is flowing and we don't want to flow with the river, we have a problem, right? Eventually the river is going to push you, because that's the nature of things, that's the nature of life. It's a flow, right? So if we flow with it, better, That's the whole point of life, is to flow and to improvise. Life is an improvisation. So don't get frustrated if things don't turn out like you want or like you expect. Learn to adapt positively. For me, this is the key of Dharma. Learning how to adapt positively to any situation. That's what Dharma is going to help you with. Wouldn't that be amazing if we can be like that? Nothing is going to affect us. We're always going to be joyful, always being able to give the best of ourselves. Sometimes, when we are unhappy, somebody comes to say, how are you? Like, no, I'm not fine. What is that? And then you bring down the other person too. And then you feel worse. Because you're continuing, you're giving energy to that. You're focusing, you're giving importance to that. But even if you're miserable, somebody comes, oh, hi, how are you? I'm okay, I'm good, how are you? And then immediately, boom, it disappears slowly, and you don't give so much attention, wow, and then uplifting. And then you can help also, like even if you're not doing well, and you see somebody not doing so well, you smile. Hey, how are you? How are you doing? Even if you're not feeling well, suddenly you're feeling good because the other person smile also. How beautiful is that? The most beautiful things in life is about sharing, caring, loving. That's really what life is about. Not about me, me, me. That's what consumerism is about. Insecurity, not so much what do you call it? Self-security, like when you're insecure with your appearance. For example, if all the women were, what do you call that? Like sure about themselves, their self-esteem, of their appearance was not based on all the, what do you call it, maquillage, makeup. The cosmetic industry would go bankrupt. The self-esteem, it really works on that, because they create, through Photoshop, they create an idealization of an image of a person that does not exist on this earth. Even the model whose photo they took wants to look like that. Right? First all the makeup, then all the Photoshop. And then they put it out there and then, oh, that's beauty. Oh, I want to be like that. But it doesn't exist. And then they make us believe that if you want to be attractive, you want to be loved. We all want to be loved. We all want to be accepted, right? So if we want to have that, oh, then I have to be as beautiful as that. And in order to be as beautiful, then I have to, fill my face with this and buy that, and that's this cream. It's just an example, right? But what the true beauty for a man is what? Is a self-security of a woman, right? The woman feels good about herself. When is a woman beautiful? Is when she wakes up in the morning. Natural. But they convince us. And the same way for the men too, right? The men have to have big muscle and have to have a good job and have to have this and that. All these conditions for love. But then in the end, we're all frustrated and unhappy and depressed because we don't understand why we don't get what we're supposed to get. And the thing is that we're chasing the carrot, like the donkey, We never, it's like the stick is there and we're never getting there. And in the process we're working, we're actually, participating in this consumerism system of capitalism, which is going nowhere actually. So really self-esteem, your self-esteem is not based on what people think of you really. People will think of you based on how you think of yourself. Because in the end, everything is a reflection of what you have inside. Okay, what else? Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
I have a question about meditation. So what I understand, I don't know if it's correct or not, but what I understand is we are suffering because of our ignorance, and we all have the wisdom inside of us, but we cannot access to that wisdom because we are distracted from our ignorance. And what I think is the only way to access to that wisdom is through meditations, through that training, like going to the gym for the brains to go through all of this process. But I think I don't know if I'm correct or not. Maybe there's not only one way to be able to access to that wisdom inside of us, and what is the other way? Thank you.
We're all very different, If we're all the same, there'll only be one teaching for everybody, But there's many different types of teachings. You know, we have sutras, we have tantras, we have this, we have that. So each person, you know, we have to find what works for us and apply that differently. But it is true that we have the knowledge, we have the wisdom already. We just have to remember. We just have to access, right? So it's what you're saying. And of course, each person has to find, in a way, like for example, for me, dancing is a great way to kind of like access that in a way. But that's my own personal way, because in the monastery I could never dance, right? So then for me it's like, it's something I discovered, you know? But that's each person, you know, has to find, because it's not like, oh, you know, that works for that person, it should work for me too. You know, we really have to kind of like filter that, because that's also when frustrations appear. You know, why doesn't this work for me? You know, maybe it's not the right thing. You know, it's like the medicine, you know. If somebody has a certain illness, there's a certain medicine that helps that illness. And sometimes you don't even need the medicine if you eradicate the cause of the illness. But it's like, for example, I have an illness, I'm going to take all the medicines available. I'm going to read all the books, you know. You really have to understand what is my problem, or what is the situation, and which is the cause. And what would I prefer, to give a medicine or to eradicate the cause in order for the issue to disappear? So these are things that it's up to you. You know, if other people did everything for you, it would be boring. You know, really, that's the challenge. That's the beauty of life. It's a mystery. If there was a mystery in life, we already knew what was going to happen tomorrow, I think it wouldn't be so interesting, you know. The magic of life would disappear a little bit. You know, as everybody wants to know, you know, what happens when you die. You know, everybody has different theories. But don't worry, we will all know one day. So there's no hurry. But that's the beauty, you know, the mystery of not knowing. Sometimes there's nothing to understand. I came to that conclusion some time ago. I was always trying to understand. And in the end, I had an epiphany, and I was like, there's nothing to understand. And I was like, wow. But then after some time again, I wanted to understand again. You know? So it's a cycle, you know, but that's samsara. And samsara is really in the mind. And nirvana also is in the mind, you know. So, okay, so I think time is up. But we can do a few more questions if you want. Maybe three questions?
Öselji, just want to ask, when you talk about social media and computers, and they're all getting very immersive, you know. So sometimes when I see we don't seem to participate in the real world anymore, and then I often wonder, is there any overlap with Yogacara? Mind only, the Yogacara school of Buddhism, mind only. It seems that we are
Mind only.
Yeah, it seems like the technology has just made us so immersed in, I don't know, in whatever consciousness these realities project onto us. Anything you might want to talk about that?
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're very easily influentiable, right? So, for example, a projected screen of a projector is not going to be as bad for us in the brain, because the light is not coming from behind. So you can watch in the cinema with the projector in the dark, it's not so bad. But for example, if you're on the computer screen and the room is dark, the eyes have to really, you know, push a lot, and it can be really bad for the eyes. Or a phone screen is even worse. You put it super bright, and you're looking at the phone in a dark room. That's really going to deteriorate your eyesight. You know, so just aspects like that is important to be aware of. And it depends also on what you're watching, you know. Some people like to watch documentaries, other people like to watch soap operas. You know, it really depends on what you want to watch. For me personally, if I'm going to watch something, I like to educate myself, even though there's a lot of misinformation available. So you also have to be able to filter, so, you know, investigate a little bit, check different sources, research, like that. But I like to inform and learn. If I'm going to use that technology to entertain me, at least, you know, to also get some knowledge and learn, something new. So then also you can share with people, and because really we're social, very social, and that's what we really enjoy, is to be together with people, to interact, to share, to care. That's really where we feel alive. And it's also demonstrated, that people who have a lot of contact, who are very sociable, live a long life and don't have so much illnesses. Normally, people who are very isolated, who don't have much physical contact and don't mingle with people, they tend to get a little bit depressed. So that's why also in the retreats that I do, I include everything. I try to, it's a package with everything. We work the mind, the body, the diet. We also try to educate, sustainable consumerism, but we also have courses of neuroscience and quantum physics, and also emptiness from the Nalanda point of view. And it's quite complete. And then, of course, we have dancing, we have music, and in the dancing, of course, people also interact, but you can see the first days, people are very stiff. They're very scared. Oh, what people are going to think. Oh, I can't let go, It doesn't really matter. Who cares? Who cares, right? It really, this feeling so stuck and so attached to this concept of what are people going to think, it took me at least 15 years to dance without fear. I could never dance. I could, in my room, maybe by myself, I could dance. But if I went out to party or something, man, I would be really rigid. Everybody would be down. I'd be like, I wish I could dance like them. So free. I would think like that. It took me a long time to let go finally, and just not really care what people think. And that's when I started to enjoy dancing. But that's my own personal kind of thing, And some people like to meditate. Some people like to run. Some people like the adrenaline rush, of climbing or whatever. But it's all a process to kind of also slowly start to see what is inside. And so of course, like you were saying, there's different methods to get to a place, but once you get to that place, then of course we have the examples of the people who got to those realizations through the practice. But of course, first we have to prepare the grounds. Because we don't have a healthy body, the meditation is going to be difficult. If we have a very, very healthy body, but our mind is not so healthy, because maybe we're watching a lot of TV, we're distracted, we don't have much attention span. Then even the body is good, it's going to be hard, to maintain, to be successful, to be dedicated, or to actually, have a certain business plan, or enjoy what you're doing, because of your mind. So really it has to be complementary. It's almost like a bulb, right? So the Dharma is like the electricity. Or maybe the other way around, I don't know. you can think about it. But the Dharma can be the electricity, you're the bulb, right? Or the Dharma can be the bulb, you're the electricity, whatever you want, doesn't matter. But the point is that even if you have the perfect human rebirth, if you don't have the electricity, it's quite meaningless. You're not really using, the opportunity. It's like going to an island full of gems, and then when you come back, you don't even take one gem with you, right? So the bulb, in order to work, it needs the electricity. But the electricity just by itself also doesn't make any light. It needs the two of them together, right? So in Tibetan Buddhism, we have a lot of things like that, like the method and the wisdom and the renunciation, and there's a lot of different ways to get there. But once you get there, then once you have the bulb with the electricity, that's when you start cooking with gas. So that's really where we want to get to. And my job is to do the baby steps to get there. And then once you get there, like here, you are so lucky you have, Geshe Chenyi, right? Keramuji Chenyila. He used to be my teacher when I was in the monastery. When I was a kid, he was my kashage. Kenrumuje was my kashagen. You know kashagen? He's the one in charge of you. When the young monks, they come, and the senior monks, they are in charge. They like not to discipline, but to make sure that everything's okay. The food, the room, that they're studying properly, the kashagen. It's like very close. It's almost like your father-mother kind of figure within the monastery. So Kenrumuje is like my kasha. He's my kashagen. So I'm very, very close to him, and I know that he's very, very knowledgeable. He's one of the top geshes in the 3 monasteries, and you guys have him here available 6 months a year. So really, try to use the opportunities you have, because he's really special and wise and huge heart. I know him since I was a child, so I love him so much, and he's completely authentic. A little bit timid though, maybe. A little bit timid, but that's normal. That's normal because he's humble, very humble. But so that's why. So my job mainly is that the baby steps. Just kind of try to do the introduction a little bit. Trying to apply practical dharma in everyday life. But you have amazing, amazing teacher here. So use it, okay? And next year maybe if I advance a little bit, then maybe I'll talk about a little bit more advanced things. Yeah. But I feel this keeping it simple, I think, is, in my case, is good, because otherwise, if we complicate things too much, then we get frustrated, and in the end, we have headache, and then we're like, ayala, I don't want. It's too hard. So I try to do a little bit balance, try to keep it simple. When it gets too simple, then you can intellectualize a little bit. But then when it gets a little bit frustrating, go back to the simple form, and try to complement together. Okay. Okay, it's 9:30. Time's up. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ösel, for your time.
We do dedication.
Okay.
Just do the dedication, okay? Dedication.
Yeah. We do dedication. Before.
Chanju simjo rimboje mage banam giguje kiwara nyambara mebara ya kone kondo pewa sho kiwadi nyudo da lama sangye dugyun doara jigya maleba te sala geba sho kare rawe korwe shingam pendang dewa male juwe ne jendre siwon tenzin gyachoi shabe side pardo dengyu ji.
Thank you, Ösel, for your time. I think today what we touch on is sort of the tip of the iceberg of what you teach in habit alignment. Yeah, because I think we are so set in our perspective and we're so habitual with the way we think and how we see and relate to the world around us. So if you really want to find out more information about the habit alignment retreat that Ösel does, you can go down to his website. It is onebiglove.com with a hyphen in between. Hack retreat, habitual habit alignment key. So HAK retreat.org. Yeah. So these 2 websites to find out a little bit more. Okay, so on behalf of Amitabha Buddhist Center, thank you for coming. I hope we don't have to wait another 11 years. Yeah, yeah. Whenever you're in Asia, you're always welcome here. Yeah, and we would like to make an offering to you on behalf of the center. This is Chun Hao. Thank you, and. Okay, I think that's the end of the night. So if you have any question or you would like to make some offering to Ösel or take photo, yes, please. Group photo. Maybe we do a big group photo and we take from upstairs. Shall we?